the United States of America, a nation known for its freedom, equality, and justice to all those who reside in its jurisdiction. A place where all your dreams can come true if you work hard enough. Where all colors of the rainbow are able to reach their own pot of gold if equal effort is put in.
Unless you're a woman. If you're a woman, you can't compete with the men in this country, so go home, clean the house, and make those sandwiches. Let us men take care of everything else. We wouldn't want to tire your little brain or fragile body. Same for you minorities. Let us take care of the big things and keep doing the majority of the labor. We know best, and we'll get you what you need. As long as you don't actually start demanding rights or handouts, in which case we would have to make laws and restrictions to keep you in line. Gotta keep them on a leash or they might think that they can do things that we don't want them to do.
Throughout history, men and women of color have used education as a tool to improve their social standing in a nation where white supremacy and gender-based discrimination were the main deciding factors of their success, not hard work or determination. But while these agencies had the potential to be effective against the detriments of racism in the job market, a long-standing history of segregation stood in the way of the ambitions of many young people of color. During the deterioration of segregation, students of color experienced backlash not only from their white peers, but also from the institutionalized racism performed by the police force and the school administrations. Separate institutions were, and always will be, inherently unequal, and although public segregation has been outlawed, echoes of the racism that started it continue to create inequality in our education system today.
Since the borderline illegal practice of redlining was used to separate housing between whites and people of color, the districts formed have remained economically and racially unequal. In purposefully keeping minorities away from wealthier counterparts via job discrimination and lack of education, neighboring districts were forced to remain racially and economically exclusive. In the academic sector of the poorer districts, while there are programs in place to help schools facing extreme poverty, those who have enough funds to be within a state-defined standard receive little to no government-funded aid. Once schools are brought up to this standard, they face the same difficulty in gaining additional funding, which finances programs that assist students to obtain higher education. This discrepancy shows that more action is needed to help minorities bridge the distance academically in gaining economic stability against the privileged few. This cycle of foregone opportunity keeps lower-class families from being able to move out of their districts, maintaining the racial and class lines even though practices such as redlining are not as prominent today.
Although many people would like to believe that the things we have read about are problems that are strictly in the past, we cannot allow ourselves to disregard the tragedies of certain events that have shaped our lives in the present and will continue to do so in the future. It is impossible to escape the hegemonic structure that we have been brought up in. However, we can challenge it to improve our society. Immigrant groups throughout history have been encouraged to migrate to America when cheap labor is needed. But once the job gets done, those same groups of people become alienated. The Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 was the first extreme law that kept a specific group of people from entering the U.S. And in 1942, the U.S. and Mexican governments created the Bracero program, a program which temporarily allowed the migration of Mexicans into the U.S. for labor needs. Not only have past events influenced the way we live our lives today, but they have also influenced what stereotypes we use to identify people of certain ethnicities.
Although it seems like American society hasn't progressed very much, it's unrealistic to expect perfect equality or the eradication of all forms of discrimination as we know it. On the bright side, education will ideally provide an enlightened perspective to how we as individuals perceive the environments around us and give us insight into how we can shape our futures.